Great dramatic effect there. So there are a few things to talk about here, but just to begin, let's try and focus on this form, the ingerdis, let him fall, the third masculine singular. And would anyone want to say if you think that this is similar to what we saw in Ge'ez and in Akkadian, Ibbalkit and Yan Gerger, Yan Garger.
They look once again very similar.
Yes, I agree. I agree. This in the middle is a little bit weird, but I don't know about it. But what's more important is that they do look very similar. Sorry, yeah?
I mean, the second consonant is always a liquid, or
The second consonant in quadriradical, tetraradical roots is very, very often a liquid. Yes, a liquid or a sonorant. Yes, that is a nice insight. Unfortunately, it's not always a way to predict these roots, but it's nice to notice that. So very good. Okay, there are some other weird things here. Maybe I'll talk about them. So almost all persons here start with an L, which is weird. Only the first person plural and the third person masculine don't have an L here. But this is an intra-Jibali thing. Jibali and maybe also Sokotri. They lost the T prefix in the H stems, and apparently also in the N stem, which does not really exist. And they replace it with the L. In the first person, they don't replace anything. The L is supposed to be there. So only the second person and the third person feminine, there was supposed to be a T here, and it was replaced with an L, which created a lot of mergers, but never mind. Okay. Not that many mergers, I guess, just between the first and second person. Okay. Any other question regarding this? Okay, so the derivative of Nabalkutu is abalakat, tabalakat, tabalakati. Once again, with this ablaut and with the gemination of not the second radical here, but the third, so the second from last. Okay, everything clear so far? In Ge'ez, the inflection, once again, this is supposed to be a little bit leftward. The inflection of this verb, angargara, in the imperfect is exactly the same. Angaragir, tangaragir, tangaragiri, yangaragir, tangaragir, just like ibalakat. Except, once again, in Ge'ez, we see this schwa, this where we would expect an a vowel, just like in the ipus iparas, which is in Ge'ez, yif'il yifa'il. So Ge'ez has the same prosodic template here, but not the same final vowel. It does not have the a ablaut at all, actually, in the verbal system. Nangaragir, tangaragiru, tangaragira, yangaragiru, once again, yangaragira. Sorry about this. Okay. Any question before we try to understand the ones in Jibali? This also should not be subjunctive. It should say imperfect. I'm so sorry about all of these mistakes. So this is the imperfect Njibali of the end stem, so to speak. It has two stresses, but we'll try to dodge that. So engerdos, ingerdos, ingirdis, yengerdos, ingerdos, engerdeso, yengerdeso, yengerdeso, ingerdeso, nengerdos, ingerdis, ingerdosen, yengerdes, and ingerdosen. What do you think about this form? Is it more similar to Akkadian or is it more similar to Ge'ez or neither or both? So it's really hard to say about this vowel between the first and second radical, and it's impossible to say about the gemination, but at least the last vowel, the one between the third and fourth radical, that's historically a. So that is nice. We do have the a ablaut here, just like in Akkadian. Once again, the T is dropped, unfortunately. So it's confusing. Is everything clear so far? Okay. So just some bits and pieces about Akkadian syntax and the way it corresponds to the syntax of other Semitic languages, because I'm not really that well versed in syntax, but let's try. So the regular syntax of an Akkadian sentence is something like Awilum Rabu Kalbam Ana Umishu Ichus. So a big man took a dog or the dog to its mother or to his mother. So first we have the subject, right? And then we have the object. And then we have another object or an adverb or something like that. And then we have the verb. So the verb comes last. Anything to say or ask about this? Because it is kind of weird, I guess, right? For people who
I
don't.
never thought to see German again in Semitic language.
Yeah, it's a little bit like German or somewhat, I guess. So yeah, S-O something V. Subject, object, adverb, verb. All clear so far. If we had to build such and head modifier order, so awilum rabum, so man big, right? Not big man, man big. And some other stuff that are weird in Akkadian. There are different ways to express construct and subordination. Maybe we'll touch on that a bit later. But anyway, if we look at the head modifier thing, at least with that, Akkadian sides with all of the other languages or almost all of them. So for example, in Arabic, also if you have a noun and an adjective, you would put first the noun and then the adjective. So al-imra'atu al-tawilatu or something like that, the tall woman, the tall. Modern Hebrew, same thing. A yellow bee, dvorat sauba, bee yellow. But Hebrew and Arabic have SVO or subject, verb, object, and VSO or verb, subject, object as their regular word order in a sentence. Both of them can have the other one as well, but this is the most unmarked form, I guess. If we look into Ethio-Semitic, we can see a similar pattern or word order to that we found in Akkadian. So for example, Lidju dibdabe when tsafe. The child, the letter, has written, or something like that.
Is Dabdabe here related to Akkadian Dabahu, to speak?
No, that's a good question. Never thought about that. Maybe.
Okay.
No, I don't know the etymology of that word. It's a weird word.
It is also attested in Ugaritic.
Dibdab?
To speak in
Oh, yeah.
in which forms?
Yeah. Also in Hebrew. Dovev. Yeah, Dovev Siftei Yeshanim. So we can see that in Amharic, they have the same word order as in Akkadian. Subject, object, verb. Isn't that nice? However, Amharic does not have the same head modifier order as in the other Semitic languages. So, for example, if I wanted to say the big child, I would have to say Tilikulij, like the big child, and not the child, the big, or something like that. Okay. Some other stuff in the syntax. So there are two alternatives for construct state or construct phrase. You can say bi charrim or bitum shasharrim. Do you find this similar to anything else in Semitic languages?
Hebrew.
Yes, in Hebrew.
بيت مدراش بيت شلهم مدراش for example.
Yeah. Very good. Exactly. But in Hebrew, we have it even one step further. So we can say, for example, yeah, you can say bet midrash, and you can say bait shel midrash, but that is maybe a little bit weirder. But you can also say, for example, if we do it for a queen, beita shel hamalka. Is there such a form in Akkadian, by the way? Bisa sharatim or something like that? No. Okay. But we do have it in some other Semitic languages. So, for example, in Aramaic, you can say Baita de Malkita or something like that. Wait, Baita de Malkita, that's the house of the queen, and you can say Bet Malkita. And what I wanted to say is something like Baita de Malkita. So her house of the queen.
Sorry. In Akkadian, you can say Marshusha.
Marshusha Awili?
A name of a name. So, but the usage is limited. It's only used in this form.
Ah, interesting. So
in Neo-Babylonian.
Okay, really cool. Interesting. Neo-Babylonian, so that might be something related to Aramaic as well, because this form is very, very common in both Hebrew and Aramaic. And there are certain Arabic dialects which you can also do that in. Omar will correct me if I'm wrong, something like Beito Lemalik or in maybe Moroccan or something. No slash in the Arabic keyboard. Something like Beto Diel Malik or something like that, right? Can you do that, Omar?
Yeah, I think in Moroccan Arabic.
But you don't say Beitul Malik or something like that. That would
in Syrian we say taba, was actually like
Al Beit Taba Al Malik. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And also in Gez, you can also do that, which is weird. So for example, wait. Bietu le Negus. So his house of the king, which means house of the king. And you can also say, house of the king. So Beit Negus. Just a second, sorry. Yeah. So you can say, for example, Betu le negus, and you can also say beta negus. Okay. Everything clear so far? Okay, good. Some other thing that is interesting in Akkadian syntax is that you can also do the alternative subordination that I mentioned, which is when you do, instead of bitum abnu, something like bit abnu, like house of I will build, or something like that, instead of the house that I will build. Do you know that from any other Semitic language? Okay, so it's not very common, but you can do, for example, I don't want to say an example from Arabic because I'm really not sure how common it is there. But in biblical Hebrew, for example, you have these forms such as, there's a famous one, hilath diber, which means the beginning of, with a construct state, and then he spoke. So, which means like at the beginning when he spoke, or at the beginning of his speech, or something like that. But it's very rare and weird. In modern Hebrew, you can use it as a very high register with the word it, like it asa something, or like at the time that he did this, and this is like the time of he did, or something like that. And almost there is something like this in Arabic as well, right? So like yawma fa'ala or something like that. Yawma qama bi. Is
Yeah,
that
exactly, yes.
what? Sorry?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, it does happen. Okay. Like so yawma qama or something like that. The day he rose, so it's the day of.
حين كتب.
Yeah, exactly. Hina. Yeah, thank you. Hina is good. Ana. Yeah. So the day of he stood up, or something like that. It's kind of a weird form, but since it is quite widespread in Semitic, even if it's not that common, I think most people would want to reconstruct it for Proto-Semitic as well. Any question about these phenomena or syntax in general, which I would probably not know how to answer? No, nothing? Okay. So there's just a little bit about lexicon. I don't know if we even have things to do until the end of the lesson today, but let's try to work through this. So Akkadian has some really interesting lexicon that it does not share with most Semitic languages. Or for many of these words, you can find them in like one language or two languages, but not in the whole thing. So we already saw that there are these many, many words that you can find in all of the Semitic languages, but Akkadian has somewhat its own slightly smaller lexical pool in which it has some things that are not known from other Semitic languages. So for example, there's the word kakkaru for ground. Has anyone heard of this word? Or because it's not the regular word for ground in Semitic, right? There's the word artsu or eltsitu or something like that, which is much, much more common in Semitic.
Or Adama.
But sounds like Hebrew karka somehow.
Yes, it is probably somehow connected to Hebrew kalka, which is also weird.
It looks like, and the Hebrew example agrees with that. It looks reduplicated, like the word kakkabu, star.
I
So
agree
it
that
looks
just
like
Yeah, the problem is that in modern Hebrew we can barely hear the reish, so it's hard to say, but it's not kal in Hebrew, it's kalka with an ayin actually historically. So that is weird. And this sent me to connect it to something like in Arabic there's qa, which means like bottom or something like that, right? Or not the bottom, but like the level part. Or Omar, how would you translate qa?
Yeah, it's bottom. We
Yeah,
translate to
okay.
bottom. Yeah.
Okay, great. But it can also be like qa safina, or like said the how do you call it? Never mind. So yeah, this word is weird because I have absolutely no idea how to explain this. I think there's also qarqar in maybe in Ugaritic, but I'm not sure about that. But it's just so yeah, there's Adama, I don't know about that, but there's Eretz and there's also Afar or Epru, which is also very common across the different Semitic languages. But this word kakaru, it's really weird. Some of these words, also some of them are reduplicated or seem reduplicated, but some of these words seem somehow more ancient. But it's really hard to tell, right?
This ein corresponding to reish, that's not normal, right?
No, not at
Okay.
all. Not at all.
Are there any other examples for that?
Not that I know of. Not that I can think of at this moment. I don't think so.
Okay.
If it exists, it's extremely rare.
But in this case, it does appear that the ein is like an innovation, right? And you'd have
I agree. Or
Okay.
maybe, yeah, or maybe it was just two words mashed up together and Akkadian made them the same. I don't know. I have no idea.
Do we
word-
know for sure that this word is Semitic?
No, I guess not. All of these reduplicated words are a little bit difficult, but my question would be, do you know of any other non-Semitic language that has something similar? Because if you do, that would be amazing.
I mean, there's a Sumerian word for
Mhm.
field, agar.
Agal, yeah. So we think this may be fields, galgal.
I can't say.
No, it's
I don't really think so, but it just looks similar.
it is. It does sound similar. Question is, could it also be the other way around? Like that the Sumerians heard galgal and they were like, okay, that's for one field is gal. How about the word for city? Alu.
This is Semitic. I mean,
Yes, but it's also quite weird in Semitic.
the meaning is different in Akkadian.
So what is the meaning in other Semitic languages?
I think it's the same word, the Arabic ahl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in Arabic,
family.
it's ahl, which is like family or home or something like that. Family, I guess, or residence. But in Arabic, there's also al, which means dynasty. I don't know if it's connected. Might
We use it now as a family too.
family, okay. So maybe it is maybe these two words are connected. But in Hebrew, there's ohel, which means tent. And the reason I would find it hard to say that this word is Semitic without second thoughts is that it has both aleph and hey, which is really weird, really, really weird. It won't be the only word, but such a basic word to have these two consonants, really weird. Something seems off, but I don't know. Okay. The next one is mar.
So you think it's not a Semitic origin from what?
I don't know. I don't know. I think, well, we have to see it as a Semitic origin as far as long as we don't have any evidence that it's something else. But it is weird in the Semitic bank of words. It is unusual for a word to have both aleph and hey.
Okay.
What about maru?
There's Arabic imra'a, maybe.
Yeah. So the traditional way is to see this indeed connected to mara'a, which we know in Arabic from imru, which is a man, and imra'a, which is a woman. Maybe this should be a V as well. This is a really weird word in Arabic. Its vowels change according to the case. But yeah, so this is what most people think. But then it's also weird for the word to son to be related to a word for man or woman, which are fully grown and not children. It's not like boy or girl or something. And this word exists in Aramaic as master or something like that. So that's even
Is
weirder.
it related to bar in Aramaic?
Master.
Bar, son.
Oh, no, I think bar comes from is connected to bin or something like that. No one knows exactly the connection. I would love to say that mar might be connected to bar, but it is quite consensus today to say that it relates to this root. In Hebrew, we don't really have this root. Like we do have it, but in some weird ways, there's in the H stem, it means to soar. And there's also mri, which means like how do you call it? Like something like a force-fed I don't know, cow or baby cow or something like cat. I don't know. So that might be
Is it related to mari'an in Arabic? Hani'an mari'an. When you eat, we say mari'an, which means to
like to enjoy or something like that.
to be
Yeah, it could be connected. Could be connected. That actually sounds like it makes sense. So as you see, this is quite confusing. So once again, there is this really, really ancient word bin or something like that in all of the Semitic languages. And you can see in Aramaic that bar and also in modern South Arabian barber is related to bin because the plural in Aramaic is bnin and in modern South Arabian bne or something like that. So you can see the n in the plural there. But Akkadian does not have this word, or it has been, or some of that as a very rare word. But the regular word for sun is maru, which is completely different. So does this mean we cannot reconstruct a word for sun for Proto-Semitic, or did Akkadian lose this extremely basic word? I don't know. How about the word for head? Kakadu.
it is attested in Ugaritic.
Yes, it is attested in Ugaritic qad and also in Hebrew qod in very, very high register of biblical Hebrew, like poetics. There's this word. So yeah, Ugaritic qad, Hebrew qol. But I'm pretty sure that's it, or maybe there's another weird form in Arabic we'll see in a moment. But once again, this is definitely not the Semitic word for head. There is a Semitic word for head. We saw it so many times already. This is just a weird something else. I don't know. Then we have the word for hand, katu. How about that? So Aramaic has something similar to this, but this is probably an Akkadian loan word. There's an Aramaic word qat, which means handle. So both the meaning handle and the word itself seem like an Akkadian loan word rather than an actual inherited word. But I don't know. This word is not really known from other Semitic languages at all. Then we have the word for neck, kishadu. How about that? So this opens a nice excursion of looking at words that are common between Akkadian and other non-Central Semitic languages. So this word, kishadu, does not really exist in Central Semitic, or I think Arabic has a verb, kadasa, to move one's shoulders, but that's maybe a stretch. But for example, in Ge'ez, this is the regular word for okay, for some reason, yeah, and imagine a hyphen in the middle of that E. So kisha, that means neck, and gez. And we also have this word in modern South Arabian. So for example, kinsaid in Mehri, or Hasusi or Tibali, all of those languages, which means shoulder. So this word, although it is not really known from languages that are better known, like Central Semitic, like Arabic or Hebrew or Aramaic, it does exist in the lesser known languages like Ethio-Semitic and modern South Arabian. In Tigray, I think, or Tigrinya, there's also a metathesis, sigad. And I think Eblite also has kidas or something like that. A lot of metatheses in this root. And also Aramaic has this word, I think maybe in Mandig or something like that, kishada or something like that. But once again, it means necklace. So once again, seems much more like an Akkadian loanword than an actual inherited word. How is everything so far? Any questions?
Is there a common word for neck in Semitic language?
Well, yeah. So there's this word tawar or something like that. It's not that common, maybe, but it does exist in many of them. Other than that, there's the word for the back of the neck, ghurb. But I guess you're right that there is no regular one word. We can try and look at that at the anatomical book of Kogan and Tayob later if you want, if there's still time. Okay. Any other question?
Actually, do I have an idea where the Hebrew kasda, probably Aramaic, but where this comes from? So because usually the idea that it's a Latin word, but could there be a...
Very good question. I don't know. I don't know Latin. Chris, do you know the word in Latin? Chris is gone.
In Latin, I think it says casida or something like this, but I don't know where this comes from, so I have no idea in Latin etymology.
Yeah, maybe the word in
And
Latin.
and I think in Hebrew it only appears in the Mishnah.
Yeah.
That's the earliest, and then with Aleph, I think. So it's kind of Aramaic then, yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, maybe the Latin word has a Semitic origin. That's a good question. I don't know.
Sorry, what was the word?
Kasda.
Latin, I mean.
Oh, I don't know.
The Latin word.
Joshua?
It's casida. I don't know where they stress it as
Okay.
as helmet, basically. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check. I have the etymological dictionary here.
Okay.
I'll get back to you if I.
Okay, so the next one is the word for foot, shepu. Once again, a word that we are much more familiar with from non-Central Semitic, which I will soon show. And the very similar word for wool, shipatu, of which the same is true. But before we go on to look at shepu and shipatu, there's also this word churatsu, which I just wanted to mention. It is also attested in Ugaritic, and in Hebrew it's charutz. And some people think it might be from Indo-European origin or something else, just a Vandavort, I don't know. Apparently in Greek it's something similar. Maybe it got into Greek from Akkadian, I don't know. but it's also not the regular Semitic word or the known Semitic word for gold.
Yeah, the Latin word is actually connected with English hat. Cassis, cassidis.
Yeah, for sure. But the question was whether the maybe the Latin has it from Semitic languages.
And now, since it has an European etymology, I would guess that it's the other way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So then probably they are not connected, since if it's a Ugaritic word, there, Akkadian word there, then it's probably
not.
quite old.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so about the word for wool, the shipatu, it's just really nice to see that this is the very regular word for hair in modern South Arabian. So mehri sift, saif, harsusi safet, jibali sfet, and sokotri sfeh. Isn't this nice? Of course, the switch, the shift from hair to wool is is very known. And this is about the word for kodkod. So we can see it does appear in Aramaic, but probably Jewish Aramaic or some kind of Hebrewized forms, but apparently also in Mlahso Kotke. I don't know if it's connected. Also attested in Eblite, Gagutu, apparently. And in Arabic, muqad, I've never heard of this word, but apparently it's something. And in Harari, ekad. Just amazing. If it is indeed connected. Omar, have you heard of this word muqad in Arabic?
No, never.
Okay, that's relaxing. Okay. And the words for foot. Once again, we can find them in modern South Arabian beautifully. Shaf in Mehri means trace, track. And the connection between trace and foot also very, very straightforward. Also in Hebrew, we use the word for heel, akev, also for trace, track, akevot. Jibali shef, shfof, and sokotri shab, which I think also means foot. I don't know French. Any question regarding this? No? So the last thing that I thought maybe I would mention is that some of these words have different sounds in Akkadian, and there are several examples, for example, for the MN substitution. So the Pan-Semitic word for to forget is something like nasaya, and Akkadian instead has masaya or mashu. The word for vineyard, which in Semitic is usually karmu or something like that. In Akkadian, it's karanu with a long a vowel, which is weird, and the N instead of an M. There are also some other examples for these sound shifts. For example, all of the Semitic languages have this root, basara, means to announce something or to give good news, while Akkadian has it with a samich, busuru. Also, there's this two roots, kabatu and abatu in Akkadian, which correspond to kabada and abada in other Semitic languages. So Akkadian has all of these peculiarities that it does not necessarily share with other languages. There's also the word sakapu, which means to lie down, right? Or to sleep or something like that. We might have a force break soon.